All right, before we get too far here, I do want you to do one thing, and that is to add PHP Artisan Telescope Publish. We didn't do this in the initial setup, but now might be an appropriate time as we might look at seeing what data is sent and what data is coming back to us from our request. So at any rate, I'll get you to go PHP Artisan Telescope Publish, just like you see on the screen here. Edit that, perfect. That will scaffold the rest of Telescope over. So when we go to look at our requests in Telescope, you won't have any issues there. Now the next thing we need to do here is we actually need to create a route to store this user. So let's go ahead and do that now with Axios. We're going to go Axios post, and that's going to be data and users. We don't need to spoof any methods, meaning we don't need to go underscore method and then post, because post request is a post request, and that's how it's perceived on our back end. So what we do need to do though is within these curly brackets, we need to submit our data. So let's do that now. We're going to go name equals this dot data dot name. We'll say email is going to equal this dot data dot email. A role is going to equal this dot data dot role. Password is going to equal this dot data dot password. Confirm password is going to equal this dot data dot confirm password. Now what we're going to have to do is we're just going to send this request back to us, return it in the response, and we'll console log what's being returned to us. So we'll say response.data, just so we know we've actually reached the route. So let's go over to our data routes. So routes web data, and we're just going to create a post request here. Nothing fancy we need to do, just like it looks like up above. But in here, we're going to send it over to the store method. Okay. Now what we need to do is need to go to our users controller. So it's already open at the top there, but in case you don't have it open in your screen, you'll go HTTP controllers data users controller. This is the controller we want. We have another controller which serves up our blade views in the users section, in the users under controller, but we actually want the data route in this case because we're sending an AJAX request. This is going to bring in our request object. It's coming through. Go ahead, we'll save that. And what we'll do here is we'll return request. I'm not going to, what I'm going to do is I'll return request all. All is just going to return an array of the data that we sent through. So let's go back to our page here. Everything looks correct as it should. Spelling seems fine. Okay, great. Now let's go back to the front end of our site. And I'm going to go ahead and refresh here because we made some changes to that. One other thing I'm going to do, just kind of a housekeeping task. Wherever we're console logging stuff, I would like to stop it. Oh, you know where console logging it is in our utilities paginator. So we don't want to do this anymore. We finished with that in the paginator. Paginator details as well. All right, let's see what happens when we refresh this now. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so it's no longer console logging any of that. Okay, so here we'll go back to name, and what we'll do is we'll fill out our details here. So we'll say Tyson 1. Role, we'll leave that as user. For now, we'll just put in password as the password. We're going to create much stronger user password, but this is what's returned to us from the server. So from our request. So that's great. We know the data is coming through as it should. We have all the data that should be coming through as well. And often I do this, especially on my larger forms, just to make sure that everything is coming through as it should before I actually start trying to insert records into the database, things like that. So, all right. So again, just a quick review. I'm going to close this out, that little housekeeping task we did. Under create user, so you'll create the route, you'll send it to the route here, you'll put your details in here, okay? And all we've done is console log this out. In our data routes, we make it a post request, and we send that over to the store method. The store method bring in our request object just like this, and we then spit that back out to us. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to look at front-end validation, or we're going to look at back-end validation, but return any errors from our form if it's not as it should be. For example, if the password's not correct, we're going to return that back to us, but we're going to do it by creating an actual form request that's provided to us in Laravel. And it allows us to do other things too, like the person actually making the request, we can verify that they're an administrator in this case. So we'll see that in the next video.